Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the peaceful March for Equality for St. Mary's County and around the nation. My name is Shane Mattingly. I'm chair of the St. Mary's County Democratic Center Committee, and our committee, along with local Democrats and many others, have sponsored this event here tonight. Thank you all for coming. I'd like to call up Reverend Eubanks to start the proceedings.
Good evening, everybody. Let us pray. Most gracious and eternal Heavenly Father, we come at this time, first to say thank you for this day, to thank you for this gathering, to thank you for these people from all walks of life, from all backgrounds, from all faiths, to come together at such a time as this. We're praying, oh God, for all the oppressed. We're praying for all those caught up in the system. We're praying for all those with lack of understanding. We're praying for all the bereaved families all over this nation as a result of injustice, as a result of violence, as a result of so many hurt feelings that are going on right now. But at this time, we're praying for unity. We're praying for community. We are praying that we understand, that we come to the table to have the conversations, that we can understand the opposites, and so that they can understand us. It's not just about one life. It's not just about this state or this county, but it's about everyone across the land that are sick and tired of being sick and tired. But God, we are praying right now that as we move in peace, that together we move in peace. Because it's not just one of us, but it is many of us. We're praying now for unity. We're praying for the community, and we're praying for justice. It is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. I'd certainly like to welcome some elected officials that are in the audience. I don't think this is an exhaustive list, but these are the lists I have. Very happy to have Sheriff Tim Cameron with us this evening. County Commissioners Todd Morgan and Eric Colvin are here with us. Leonardtown Commissioner Nick Colvin. And former chair of the Democratic Center Committee here, Cindy Slattery. Welcome all. Next speaker we have up tonight is Delegate Brian Crosby.
Thank you so much, Shane, and the entire Democratic Central Committee and our community for organizing this event. I'd like to thank my friend, NAACP President BJ Hall, for his tireless efforts amongst BJ works tirelessly on behalf of people of color in St. Mary's County, and it should be recognized. And lastly, thank you to Sheriff Cameron for not just coming here this evening, but his community-based approach to policing here in St. Mary's County. A few days ago, I walked up into a group of 6 or 7 individuals, and I only knew one of them, but one of the individuals that I didn't know had said to me, "Why is George Floyd's murder the event that set everyone off?" And all I could say back was, "Bro, where the hell you been?" In 1776, and on the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson said, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all are created equal." And then we waited until 1863 to see the Emancipation Proclamation. In 1868, the 14th Amendment gave blacks equal protection under the law. 1870, the Voting Rights Act, in 1870, blacks under the 15th Amendment, blacks received the right to vote. 1948, military discrimination ended after blacks fought in segregated units and died on foreign soil in World War II. 1954, Brown v. Board of Education. 1955, Rosa Parks. 57, Little Rock 9. 61, Freedom Riders. 63, March on Washington. 64, the Civil Rights Act. 65, Bloody Sunday, and subsequently the Voting Rights Act. The list goes on. People of color have been fighting for equality since this country's inception. And the image of George Floyd laying on the ground hits home. Black people, Black Americans have had a knee on their neck from the start. More recent history need no more than names to point out discrimination. Garner, Brown, McDonald, Mann, McLeod, Martin, Jones, Gaines, Hicks, McDade, Reed, Arbery, Taylor, Floyd. How many times do we have to hear the words, "I can't breathe"? They're not just the last words of George Floyd. They're the stifled feelings of people of color across this country. You don't need to look very far to see systematic racism. It's in front of our face right now with this pandemic. 40 million Americans have filed for unemployment. There's over 100,000 deaths. Cases are increasing daily. And all of those have impacted people of color disproportionately. COVID didn't target people of color. It highlighted their constant societal disadvantages, not the least of which is access to less comprehensive health insurance. When I was a teenager, my parents gave me the speech of, here's your curfew, be home at this time. They gave me the girls talk. They told me if I got a ticket, they were going to take my license. But they never explained to me what to do when I was pulled over by the police. I got pulled over during the campaign, and when the lights went on, admittedly I thought, oh man, everybody's going to find out. This isn't going to be good. But I never was fearful of being shot. At no point did I ever think I was in danger. But for every Black family in America, the talk is a normal part of growing up. It is clear that we need meaningful law enforcement reform in this country. And frankly, to make these changes, we need law enforcement's help. We need a mandate that all state police in the state of Maryland wear body cams to build transparency and community trust, and it promotes officer safety. It's a bill I sponsored last year, and I intend to bring it back until we get it passed. I also echo the NAACP's message in asking for reform. The nation's collective condemnation of police violence against the Black community represents a pivotal point. Now is the time for systemic changes to policing in this country. Now is the time to implement strict accountability at the federal, state, and local levels. Now is the time to limit the use of force, eliminate racial profiling, increase transparency through reporting and data. When I was in Ranger Regiment, we would constantly train. You would train, deploy, reset, and then train again. And the focus was on stressful situations and how to react and how to handle yourself and exercise sound judgment during those interactions. We need to invest in police training that promotes that and elect leaders that are going to invest in that training. We are all here today demanding change. We feel a sense of urgency to do something. There is a need to act in the midst of a pandemic. We all know being here is dangerous, but we all feel passionate enough to risk our own safety to force change. In his recent Facebook post, President Obama said, if we want to bring about real change, then the choice isn't between protest and politics. We have to do both. We have to mobilize to raise awareness, and we have to organize and cast our ballots to make sure we elect leaders who will act on reform. Yesterday, if you got your ballot, I hope that you voted and chose leaders like Heather Earhart, who value safety of all people. But let's be honest, this isn't going to be one election. We're not going to fix everything in one term. Voting is a constant thing that you need to continue to do. And you're going to have to do it at all levels of government. I want you to know that I'm here and I'm listening. I want to empower communities of color in St. Mary's County. One bill I'm working with the NAACP on would be to change our commissioner voting such that we would vote for each commissioner by a district rather than countywide. And I'll give you the example. Lexington Park. That bill would allow the community of Lexington Park to possibly elect a county commissioner that would understand the need for a community center, that would find fair polling locations that are walkable, provide for a more comprehensive public transit system, and dare I say it, Dr. Walthauer has been screaming it, using a portion of the CARES Act money to help fund technology for our most precious assets, our children. I encourage you to reach out to myself. I will be here until this ends. Either find me or Ren. She is sitting down, waving her hand. She's the one wearing a mask. And exchange contact information. We can work together on a bill that we can propose next legislative session, or policies that you would like us to support when those bills come up in Annapolis. Bottom line, I'm proud of all of you today. You came here to exercise one of your fundamental rights as Americans, asking your country to do better for you. You are raising your voice to strive what is best for all of us in an unselfish manner. As your delegate, I remain committed to creating a more perfect union so that no family has to give the talk. And as I listen to people cry out, I agree. Enough is enough. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Heather. We're trying to do, Dr. Brewer called me today and made sure that I try to remind everybody to do social distancing today as much as possible. In a weird sort of way, I'm sort of glad that's hard today. It's good to see so many of you here. Our next speaker is Commissioner Todd Morgan from St. Mary's County.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Todd Morgan, and on behalf of the Commissioner of St. Mary's County, I want to welcome you to your governmental center, because I'll be one to bet you 9 out of 10 of you have never been here before, so welcome. Tonight, we're here to gather to acknowledge the tragic and unnecessary death of George Floyd, to join in a peaceful protest to recognize many of the disparities of our society. Tonight we're going to join regardless of race, gender, or color. Our county is rich in history, very rich, going all the way back to the 1600s, and Matthias de Souza, the first known man of African-American descent to participate in assembly in English America. As a community, we know that racial injustice and structural racism exists. We must be strong enough to address the issues, to listen, to contemplate, to absorb others' viewpoints, and ensure that access to healthcare systems, education, and public safety can be done in a fair, just, and cost-effective manner. This is going to require all of us to work together, as Reverend Eubanks said, in unity. Tonight, I'm hopeful that this will lead us in that direction, that we will all be able to begin to search for the answers. In the meantime, as Dr. Brewster told me, social distance, wear those face masks, and for me, peace on earth. Thank you.
A new one every time. Yeah. These are precious.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Todd. Next up, we'd like to welcome Sheriff Tim Cameron.
Thank you. Thank you, Shane. This is powerful. Give yourselves a hand. This is powerful. I don't usually read when I speak, but this is too important. Every word is too important to me. So I'm going to use this as the outline. You know, I look around and I recognize many of you from my community. Many of you that I have admired for a long time, have great respect for. But I can't tell you that I'm happy to be here with you. I wish we weren't here. I'm sorry that we gather for such a circumstance as we give voice to the indignation we feel for the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota, May 25th. What we saw in Minnesota was deeply disturbing and sickening. It was wrong. It must be a concern for every peace officer and every American. It was an indefensible use of force that good officers everywhere are appalled by. Conduct like this anywhere makes it more difficult for police everywhere to build community trust. Thank you. You know, I told Reverend McClanahan this wasn't just a violation of law, but an egregious affront to humanity. I feel my community's and America's condemnation of this individual's breach of his community trust, demonstrated by his callous criminal actions. I call him an individual because he can no longer claim the ranks of America's police, because he failed. Thank you. He failed his duty and obligation to his community and to his profession. As a career police officer, and I'm going on 40 years, I know I don't look it. I am sickened by the action of a few that reflect on many. A disregard of our profession's sacred oath of office to serve and protect with equality, justice, and respect. These are the bedrocks behind the concepts of procedural justice and police legitimacy. My community has taught me some important lessons over the many years, and I thank you. You've taught me that community policing engages our citizens in the work of solving problems and building relationships. You've taught me that we don't protect and serve, we serve and protect. You've taught me that we're not law enforcement officers blindly carrying out law enforcement duties, only enforcing laws. We are peace officers. We work to make all communities better places to live, engage with our citizens. The things that I've learned, you've taught me, and they have been a catalyst for a change in your sheriff's office's culture and performance, and by good policy, good training, and monitored performance. The deputies here tonight, look around. The deputies here tonight are here to facilitate this event and give our community a voice. We support you, we support our community, we support equitable, ethical, just, and fair policing. God bless, thank you.
I do believe it's your turn.
We have a musical interlude coming up. Miss Carr.
I'm so happy to see you all here. I hate that we're here for these circumstances, but I'm happy to see you. Music brings us all together. My husband told me I had to talk. I didn't want to because I didn't want to cry. So I'm going to try to make it through this song without crying. But I love you all, and God bless. You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out and move. isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains. Bring it to its feet and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I'll rise up and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up high like the day, I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I'll rise up and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. All we need is hope. And for that we have each other. And for that we have each other. We will rise, we will rise, oh, we will rise up. We'll rise. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I'll rise up and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up high like the day, we'll rise up, we'll rise unafraid, we'll rise up and we'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you.
Wow. I swear, the tears you might see mine is totally due to the pollen and nothing else. That is really hard to follow, but if I was going to pick somebody to follow that, it would be one of our most legendary community leaders. We'd like to welcome from the St. Mary's County NAACP, Dr. Janice Walthour and VJ Hall.
Thank you. Thank you, Latrice. That is a hard act to follow. And we will rise up. We are rising up. And I am so proud to see so many people here of every race, color, creed. It just fills my heart. It fills my heart. And I just want you to know that BJ and I and the NAACP, we are on it. We are on it. You know, I am a poet. I love poetry. And I saw a sign out there that connects up with some of the things I want to talk about. All mothers were called when George Floyd called out for mama. All mothers were called. And we are here because we mourn, and we have much sympathy for the Floyd family and all of the families that have lost loved ones to police brutality and discrimination and racism. Well, one of my favorite poets, I guess two of them, Maya Angelou. Her life story is called Cage Bird. I Know Why the Cage Bird Sing. And the poet that she took those lines from, or that title of that book, was a poet named, another African-American poet named Paul Laurence Dunbar. And he wrote a poem called Sympathy. Now I want you to think about a caged bird. When you think about what's been happening to African Americans over the years in this country, think about a caged bird. You're the bird in the cage. And this is what Dunbar wrote. I know why the caged bird sings. I know why the caged bird and how he feels, alas, when the sun is bright on the upland slopes, when the wind stirs soft through the springing grass, and the flowers flow like a stream of glass, when the first bird sings and the first bud opes, and the faint perfume from the chalice steals. I know what a caged bird feels. I know why the caged bird beats his wing till its blood is red on the cruel bars, for he must fly back to his perch and cling, when he fain would be on the bough a swing, and a pain still throbs in his old scars, and they pulse again with a keener sting. I know why he beats his wing. I know why the caged bird sings, ah me, when his wing is bruised and his bosom sore, when he beats his bars that he would be free. It is not a carol of joy or glee, but a prayer that he sends from his heart's deep core, but a plea that upward to heaven he flings. I know why the caged bird sings. If you've never thought about how a caged bird feels after the horrendous murder of George Floyd, I think you understand now what it must feel like to be black in the land of the free. You saw it with your own eyes. You saw it with your own eyes. For African Americans, free is not free, because we have a knee on our necks every day. A knee on our necks. I thought about my mother when she would discipline us, and she would tell you not to do something, and she would say, get in here, get. And I say, get your knee off my neck. Get it off. Get off me, as a little girl used to say at Carver Elementary School. Because we have the knee on our necks, in our workplaces, in our schools, our neighborhoods, our churches, in our cars, the store, and more. So we know why the caged bird sings. We know why. But we are all here together to show our sympathy for George Floyd, who was murdered with a knee on his neck. And the pathology of the knee on the neck syndrome has got to stop. Racism is cruel, it's ugly, and it's deadly. And here in St. Mary's County, we need to work together to end it. We have to end it up the county, down the county, in the park, all over St. Mary's County. Let's end it. And we can do it together. You are here now. You got to go back to your churches, to your workplaces. I just had a talk with my pastor. I'm Catholic, and this county is predominantly Catholic. So where does it start? In the church. In all churches, not just Catholic churches. It must be a concerted effort in your sermons, in your social justice committees. There has to be a plan of action to help get the knee off the necks of African Americans in the world, or in the United States. BJ will talk more about what we're doing, but we have a charge. The NAACP has been charged with meeting with the sheriff and the state's attorney to find out what the policies are here in St. Mary's County. Sheriff Cameron just told me there's no knee on the neck policy here. They don't do that. Thank you, Sheriff. We have community police. But we all still need to know what is going on. What's the policies from our state's attorney? So, yes, and we're going to have BJ wants to make sure you know, we're going to meet with these folks. We're going to have a forum, a town hall for you all to call. They're also going to come to the town hall to answer questions. It'll be virtual, so we want to be safe. So we do have a charge, and we are here because we know why the cage bird sings. The cage bird sings for what? Freedom. Say it loud. Freedom. Say it again. Freedom. One more time. Freedom. Thank you. BJ.
Good job, Heather.
Every time I hear somebody say it loud, it makes me want to say something else. Say it loud. There we go. I didn't want to come up here, honestly. I mean, for real, because I'm an extremely passionate person, and my emotions get the best of me sometimes. And when I get emotional, I get to cussing. I know kids are gonna be out here, and especially when I'm mad. And I'm mad as hell. I got this shirt, downtown DC, December 13, 2014, at the Justice for All March, the first time we had an incident where we needed to say, "I can't breathe." At that point, we were pretty much numb to videos of us getting killed by the police. If y'all remember the situation correctly, we were out in the streets after they didn't indict. So we used to this. This outrage ain't new to us. I appreciate this outrage, but remember the outrage that we had then, it died. We didn't keep that same energy. And the people that are coming out new to this outrage, we appreciate that. But we got the outrage part down. We don't really need help there. We need help with the work that comes after the outrage. It takes a whole lot of work to get to the point where you have people like Brian Crosby introducing legislation in Annapolis, but that's not even the hard part. Ask Brian. When he got that legislation in there, everybody, it sounded good. Body cams, everybody wants it. Then you get the bill. Now you gotta pay. It's a cost to that. People not willing for that. But if we have this energy behind them, telling them, hey, that's the bill you need to pay because it's important to our lives. We need that energy when we get that bill. We can point at Annapolis, but we had that same problem here. Talking about the cost. We have a housing crisis going on here in St. Mary's County, but we don't want to put the money in there. We got an access to health care issue. We had the health department ask for 2 nurses, but how much it costs? Talking about a bill again. Asking if we could use the COVID money. Oh, come on, man. You can pay for 2 nurses. And y'all know we've been fighting for this community center since when? Forever. But then everybody looking at $16 million. It's like, can we pay that? We need those resources for other reasons. Don't worry about the cost. That's what it costs, and that's just the bill. Take care of it. We need that energy when we get that bill. Excuse me. I got a defibrillator in my chest. I think it might be setting it off. Say what? Yeah, I do. All right. Sorry about that. Anyway, just want to wrap it up. I didn't want to stay up here too long. Oh yeah. Sorry about that. Now I got caught up in my words. All right.
You got it.
I don't want to sound negative because this part of it is important. We need to organize. We need this energy. But we've seen this before. It's been there, done that, and I literally had a t-shirt. So I just want you to know I'm not mad about it. We just need your energy to make sure that to help us get to a realistic solution. I appreciate your time. Hopefully you can sign up at our membership table over there. Is that Cindy right there? Who is that? Somebody's waving there. There is Cindy is right here. We have a lot of things that we work with Brian all the time. We work with the sheriff all the time. There are a lot of things that are going that a lot of people don't get an opportunity to see. I know most of you probably don't follow us on Facebook, but please check our Facebook page. We're usually doing something. And I know most of y'all are not paying attention to the work that we do because I've seen a lot of the comments like, what is the NAACP doing? We're doing a ton, man. Yeah. Janice is out here trying to fix our schools. We got equity, equity director trying to fix our school as well. We have a ton of people that are out here in a lot of different places in our county trying to make things equitable and equal for everyone. And please, we need your help because we got about 15, 20 just strong grinders. But we need way more than that for us to bring the change that's needed here in this county. So please join us, help us, and even if you don't join the NAACP, do something. But don't let it die here, and don't let it die in 2 months. And make sure that you get out and vote. If you mad, show them in November. I gotta say it. I don't know if you actually see me on a lot of the on our little show Sunday in the Park. And if you haven't found us on Sunday in the Park, go check us out. Look us up on Facebook, Sunday in the Park. We're doing a show. But we talk about the census. The census helps us get $18,250 per person. So if you have not filled out your census, this is a perfect opportunity because they gave us an extension on the self-response. You don't want people knocking on your doors, people. They probably got the COVID. So it's about 65% self-response rate. Make sure you fill out that card. It's too easy. It took me about 5 minutes. Fill out that card, bring that $18,250 down here so we can get things done. They finally finished up that quarter mile for FDR. I appreciate that. So apparently we're underfunded as far as our roads go. So make sure you take care of that. And that's all I got. Appreciate y'all time.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker tonight is Ms. Marsha Williams.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the organizers of this event. As I look out into the crowd tonight, I am encouraged by seeing people of different backgrounds and races coming together for one cause. I am encouraged because I believe that, like me, you believe Black Lives Matter. And you understand that by saying Black Lives Matter does not mean that all other lives don't. You understand that when the founders of this nation wrote, "All men are created equal," that the word all never intended to include black people or people of color. So when some say all lives matter, I question whether they truly understand what so many of us feel and mean when we say Black Lives Matter. We are hurt. We are angry. We are sick and tired of watching people justify the shooting of unarmed people of color by bringing up the victim's past to justify the shooter's present action so that he can protect his future freedom. We are outraged by the senseless police brutality against and murder of black men and women. And as Benjamin Franklin stated, justice will not be served until those who are unaffected are as outraged as those who are. So, we will continue to shout, Black Lives Matter, to shine a light on police brutality and racism. We will continue to chant Black Lives Matter until the word all truly encompasses every man, woman, boy, and girl. We will continue to proclaim Black Lives Matter until we no longer hear a man who is in the midst of dying cry out in agony, "I can't breathe." Because, in a way, I can't breathe. I, like so many mothers of black boys and wives of black men, can't breathe. We hold our breath every time they leave the house and pray for their safe return. I can't breathe because I hold my breath and pray that when my son wears his hoodie, that he isn't mistaken for a thug, suspect, or criminal. Remember Trayvon Martin. I can't breathe because I hold my breath and pray that when my son is outside playing with his Nerf gun, that someone does not think he has an actual gun, call the police, and is immediately shot. Remember Tamir Rice. I can't breathe because I hold my breath and pray that when my son goes off to college, that he will never have to go through what Jalen Butler, Messiah Young, and Tanaya Pilgrim went through when they encountered police officers. They are still alive, but we remember. I can't breathe because I hold my breath and pray that when my son chooses to speak out when he sees someone else doing wrong, that the person bringing the rule does not use his or her white privilege and race as a weapon against him, and my son's race as a liability. Thank God Christian Cooper is still alive, but we remember. I can't breathe because I hold my breath and pray that my son never encounters a vigilante who thinks he is the judge, jury, and executioner and acts in a way that is akin to a modern day lynching. Remember Ahmaud Arbery. I can't breathe because I hold my breath and pray that if my son is ever stopped by police, some of his last words won't be, "I can't breathe." Remember Eric Garner and George Floyd. Again, until people are outraged by these events and the many others like them and truly mean that all lives matter, I am going to continue to say, shout, and proclaim that Black Lives Matter. Because we want to breathe. And in order for all of us to breathe, we must remember that these marches and protests should not be the end, but rather the beginning. Yes, the protest marches and demonstrations that are occurring around the world and the march that is about to follow have meaning. They move us. They stir up emotions in our heart and soul. They call attention to inequality, injustice, and police brutality. But as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stated in his book, Why We Can't Wait, and I say we can't wait, a social movement that only moves people is merely a revolt. A movement that changes both people and institutions is a revolution. So we must now We must not allow our anger to erupt in violence or go home after this march and sit idly by waiting for the next march or protest or wait for someone else to do something. We must be the change. Each and every one of you must be the change and act. Because as James Baldwin wrote, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. We know we cannot change America's past, but we can certainly make its future better. There are a number of ways to bring out change. To name a few, as my fellow speakers have mentioned, join and support organizations like the NAACP. St. Mary's County NAA number 7025 if you don't know. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and social media, and like BJ said, there is a membership table here tonight. The NAACP has been fighting against injustice and racial inequality since its inception. We also must research those who are running for office. Now is not the time to look at the letter behind a candidate's name and vote for that person simply because that person is a Republican, Democrat, or Independent. You must do your research so that we know where a candidate stands on issues that affect us and vote for those candidates who will fight for policies and laws that will promote justice and equality and bring about systemic change. We must then vote in all elections. If you did not vote in yesterday's election, don't let the opportunity ever pass you by again. Your vote matters. Your vote needs to be counted. Your vote can make a difference. We must also seek appointments to local boards and commissions so that you can help effectuate change in your local community and in St. Mary's County. Young people of St. Mary's County, you can apply to be a member of the St. Mary's County Youth Advisory Commission. I'm giving a shout out because I was on the board, and I see Donovan over there also who served on the board. And we thank you, commissioners, for forming the St. Mary's County Youth Advisory Commission. All of us, young and old, can attend Board of Education meetings, county commissioner meetings, meetings about a community center, because our voice matters. You deserve to be heard and listened to. And when you are able to vote, vote to keep those who are making a difference. And if those who did not listen to you are still in office, vote them out. Run for local or state office. Run for a county position. Speak out against hate, intolerance, and ignorance. Protest inequality and march for justice. Now is the time to act. We will not go back to business as usual. I truly believe that there is something different about this time. I can feel a shift in the atmosphere. People are fed up about this pandemic, and not the COVID pandemic, but this pandemic of racism. And we have to seize the moment. The opportunity is now. Now is the time to come together to plan, strategize, and most importantly, implement our plans of action. Now is the time that we step into our calling and become revolutionaries in the fight against inequality, police brutality, racism, and injustice. Now is the time to start a new revolution, a revolution that will bring forth a systemic change that will shake the very foundation that our country was built upon. Are you ready to be a revolutionary? If you are, join me in this peaceful march this evening, and once you leave here tonight, go out into your neighborhoods and communities and make a difference. Be the revolutionary. Be the change you want to see. Now we are about to march. If Reverend McClanahan and Pastor Nielsen, as well as all of our other speakers, could join me, we are going to lead today's peaceful march. Everyone, please stay with us and follow the route. We have incorporated a moment of silence during the march, and we want to make sure everyone experiences as we mourn and reflect upon the killings of George Floyd and far too many others to count.
Mom, I don't want to do it.
You probably saw me both of them, honestly. Join in.
No justice!
No peace!
I can't breathe! 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 No peace! No peace! No peace! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! Justice!
She said, oh. You need help? Getting her little apartment.
I feel like I want them getting
Right over that one. Yeah.
Whoa, that was just one time.
That's very surprisingly, like, I don't know, it's like, you didn't
what a great shirt. We need hockey
We will help. Checking it out.
Yeah. The difference is you don't. You don't need CC anymore.
continue in the moment of